What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the Collective Clips, where you already know the gun, he gets it in, right? But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I am kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support I'm getting. Now, my subscriber, one of them, man, asked me, to pretty much give them the differences. What's the difference, he said, between a Sureño or a Southsider from Southern California and a Southsider from Northern California, an Upstater, right? Is there too much of a difference? There is. There's a slight difference, right? There's a difference in territory, in geographical awareness. There's also a difference with how the game is played with these individuals. Now, while incarcerated, let's take it from prison. Let's go within them walls and then come outside, right? If you're within them walls, there is no difference. Absolutely zero, man. Them vatos have chose to plant their flag in Northern California, and they have chose a lot of them homegrown, actually from the cities that they claim. And in the beginning, I'm sure there was some individuals from the Sur, from Southern California, that did look at these guys a certain type of way. I know when I was in the youth authority, there were some hardships and some struggle for them guys up north. But at the end of the day, while incarcerated, man, they're not looked at any difference. They have the same advantages or disadvantages than any other person from their cause. Just because you're from Northern California or out of state doesn't mean you necessarily can't strive to become someone of status or be, what you want to be. So within them walls, behind them walls, there is no difference between an Upstater or a Southsider from Southern California. Absolutely not, man. In fact, in the later years, the years that we're in now, this era, they're actually embraced more, man. There's a lot of canalismo there, a lot of interaction and working together hand in hand. So, the whole plan was to stake their claim in Northern California, to which they have done, man. They've set up foundations. They've set up fucking their, they've set up their gangs, man, in pretty much every city up north. So that's them, right? Now, as far as the streets, that's a different story, okay? So on the streets, what you have is Upstaters who have given themselves that label because they want to distinguish themselves as being Southerners or being Southsiders from the North, right? They don't want to be considered, guys that claim the South that live up North. They don't want to do that. They want to put their own label on it, and basically it's their movement. Within their belief system, they believe that they're taking over, their Northern California stronghold. Now, every different gang member, every different person is going to have their say so. They're going to have their beliefs. Me just keeping it real as I can get. There's just some places where that's not going to, you could get a foothold. You might be able to establish a gang or two, a couple streets. But as far as a smooth takeover, that's nonsense, man. That's not going to happen. Never, no how, no way, anywhere, right? And I'm not saying that I'm from a northern standpoint of hatred or none of that. I'm just being honest with you. For the subscriber that asked me, that's just not going to happen. But they have been around. I heard some ridiculousness the other day. Was somebody left me a comment and they said, "Hey, Gun, the Southsiders are, we've always been in Northern California, you vatos fell off and started something, but we were here and we just stuck to the grind and kept it real." And that, again, in the 70s, prior and pre-North and South, there was no Norteño or Sureño or Southsider or Northerner label. There was none of that. It was just Chicanos, Cholos, lowriders, and a lot of cultura was going on. Some guys decided, if not for no other reason than to open a lowrider book and pick what they were going to be. Okay, that's pretty much what it came down to. Norteños are called Norteños because they come from the northern part of the land. Sureños are called that because they come from the southern part of the land. So when you got guys that are claiming southern gangs up north, some people look at it as pretend or it's fake or it's bullshit or it's fakery, but I don't. I see vatos that decided that if for no other reason they were going to go against the grain and they were going to establish a stronghold and stand firm in their beliefs for what they believed in. That's cool, man. It all starts and stems from one person's beliefs. That's how most gangs start. It all starts out of a good thing. There's not one gang that I've ever seen that started because they wanted to be bad or gangbang or hurt people or steal or none of that. Everything has been for the protection and self-preservation of your people. Now, there's a lot of people that like that cholo estilo. They like that Mexicano, Sureño, Southsider type style. That's cool, man. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with being true to your beliefs and your raza. Now, at the same time, that doesn't mean that the guys from Northern California are not raza as well. You know, they just come from a different type of swag, a different type of movement. You know, there's really no difference, man. At the end of the day, everybody says raza, everybody is brown, everybody eats tortillas, right? There's been a big misconception that the norteños, man, are black, or they try to act like brothers, man, or try to act black. And I haven't seen it, man. I know the Bay acts the Bay, the Valley acts the Valley, and that's just the way it is, man. It's all about your environment, who you grew up with. But ain't nothing wrong with having a little bit of swag. Ain't nothing wrong with having a little bit of versatility to your motherfucking wordplay. Ain't nothing wrong with having spectacular vernacular, right? If you look at it and you're totally honest with yourself, like I am, all the Chicanos nowadays, doesn't matter if you're from north or south, are starting to use the N-word and starting to get braids in their hair and starting to wear, urban clothing. And come on now, man. You know, for a lot of people that will sit here online and talk shit about blacks and we're not black and this and that, they sure do emulate, right? And I'm talking about all the cats nowadays. So to keep it truthfully and honest with you, is there a vast difference between Southsiders from the Upstaters and the Sureños down south? No. You know, they may blend in a little bit more with Norteños and the Northern California swag just because they grew up in that area. You know, you're going to see this guy on the thumbnail, man. He's from Northern California. He has the braids in his hair, the gold teeth in his mouth. You know, the Bay. That's a Bay Area swag. That's not a black swag. That's not a brown swag. That's a Bay Area thing. Them guys in the Bay move differently. They're innovators and pioneers of a lot of different style. That's just how it is, man. It's not they're trying to act black, and it's not that they're trying to forget about their culture and where they come from. Absolutely not. There's a lot of Mexicanos that still rock the Mexican flag. They're still raza, whether they wear a blue paño or a red paño. That's totally up to them and what street they grew up on and what they were born into, generational. But that's just how it is. It's a Bay Area thing. Just like in LA, San Diego, you're going to have that thing. The dress, the style, the bald heads, you know, the fucking Ben Davises, the Dickies, the Cortezes, and the Chuck Taylors. That's that stilo. If you look, there's a lot of Africanos, a lot of black dudes that actually have lowriders, actually wear Ben Davises, actually have the same style that you would see a Southsider have. It's not that they're trying to be something they're not. They got that LA swag. That's what it is, man. When there's a dominant group, and down in Southern California, the majority happens to be Mexicans with the blacks right behind them, right? When the majority dresses a certain way and there's a certain type of music that's listened to and everybody's bumping them oldies or that old school funk or cholos or cruising in lowriders, man, a lot of the brothers adapted to that. They grew up at taco trucks. They grew up, you know, at the next door neighbor's house, the paisa's house, eating frijoles and arroz. This is just what it is, man. Just as the same way where the dominant numbers when it comes to Northern California in the Bay Area especially is black, a lot of the Mexicans, the Norteños, as well as the Upstaters grew up eating some of that hot water cornbread and some of that fried chicken. That's just how it is. Okay? Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with the little cultural blend, you know, until you make it that. You know, until you, it hurts your feelings. And then you're feeling some type of way. Anyway, so when it comes to the Southerners from up north, the Southsiders, they do have a little bit of urban flavor to them. Okay, it's just what it is. So it has always boggled my mind when I heard vatos are like, hey, you guys are mayateros or you're trying to act black as norteños. And I think to myself, well, the Upstaters do the exact same thing. There are a lot that try to keep that same Sureño estilo from down south. Yes, they do, man. And that was the way back in the days we were able to distinguish who was a norteño and who was a Sureño by the way they dressed, they acted, the colors they wore. You know, me, you see, I'm wearing all blue today. You know, if I was up north in Northern California, they would probably think I was an Upstater, you know. But at the same time, I got love for all the raza. So nothing means nothing to me when it comes to north and south, because I'm truly a firm believer, man, that everybody's the same. You just were born somewhere. You know, if I was born in LA, what do you think I'd be? If I was born in Fresno, what do you think I'd be? You know, I'm always going to go the raza way. Okay, that's just the way I was raised, man, to identify with my people. But ain't nothing wrong with having some love and having some fucking being cool with people from other races. That's always good. So when I go down south, and I do that every once in a great while, I do see a lot of the stilo, but I also see a lot of it going out the window. It's not the same that it used to be. You know, everybody is changing, and that's just a change in people's beliefs in the era. You know, and it doesn't mean they're not down. It doesn't mean they won't shoot quick and ask questions later, or not even ask questions, just shoot. They'll still do all that if that's what's cool, but that's what you think is cool, right? But at the end of the day, man, you're not a gangster because you shoot first or shoot fast. You know, it's the mentality, man. How you carry yourself, your rhythm, your wiggle. That's what makes a real G. Now, as far as differences, there is none, okay? Other than maybe dress or haircuts. But as far as their ways of thinking and what they're striving for, they're under all one umbrella. Okay, if you're from the South, you're from the South. If you're from the North, you're from the North. There is no in between. You're always going to be what you are. Now, coming from the Norteño standpoint, you know, of what I once was, I could understand what was our hatred towards these guys up north. You know, it wasn't only that we knew that they were the opposition and they posed a threat to our safety and security and to our livelihood and trying to take us off the map and to invade our northern lands, but also more so than that, it was that we knew deep down inside a lot of these guys were homies that basically turned their back or decided that for one other reason than another, the wind's blowing, I can't talk today, for no other reason than another, man, that they were going to be something that we didn't think that they should be. You know, and I remember a lot of my homeboys used to say these vatos are rejects from the north, that they couldn't hack it, they couldn't hang, so they started something else. And that's, again, frivolous bullshit, propaganda. You know, everybody are from what street they were born on and what they chose to do. You know, I have homeboys from my neighborhood that grew up on the other side of they grew up in the other side of town. They just kicked it at school with homeboys that were from a certain area in a gang, and eventually they got jumped into that, and they gravitated more towards hanging out there. But 9 times out of 10 in old school vados like Southern California, it's generational, man. Your father's father's father was from there. We have gangs from the fucking 1890s, 1900s that have been around down in Southern California. So vatos are born into it. Okay, they don't just decide. There is no decision to be made. They're just born into it. But I've had, there's all kinds of different shit when it comes to the gang lifestyle, man. Not that it's a great thing, but it's a real thing. I have homeboys. We were at one point in time when we used to do Red on Red in the 90s. There was a group called RBL, Rebels Before Locals. And they actually came up with that gang and labeled that gang Rebels Before Locals because we were dead end locals, right? So it was kind of like a diss, a subliminal at us, or just a straight up fuck you, right? And there was 2 brothers, heavy hitters, both heavy hitters, well known, both of them. One was from RBL, the other one was from Dead End, man. And that's just the way it's always been, you know. And it was kind of like when they were at home, whatever they went through, man, I wasn't the cockroach there. So I don't know, man, if there was animosity or some steam to blow off. If they went in the backyard and wrestled, I don't know, right? If it was fucking Rey Mysterio time. But one thing I do know is they were actual brothers. And there's been a lot of that. I got familia that are Southsiders, familia that are Bulldogs, man. And there's no hatred. Blood runs thicker than water. But at the end of the day, sometimes, man, blood in, blood out. Sometimes there can be situations where, you know, you're in a position that you are not feeling your family member because maybe they did something bad to your homie, took one of your homies out or whatever. See, Northern California rules are different from Southern California rules. Whereas down south in Southern California, it's more vaudeville on vaudeville warfare. It's more black and brown. It's more hood to hood shit. Whereas in Northern California, it's north and south. All Northerners should get along. There should be no red on red. That's been put out there. You know, and most Southsiders, albeit that there are some Upstaters that do beef with other vaudevilles for whatever their reasons may be, for the majority, man, they already know it's on with Norteños. Then you have North with black that get off, and then you have North and whites, and you have whites and Southsiders, and Asians fucking kill everybody, and there's all kinds of shit going on. So at the end of the day, when the subscriber asks me, is there a difference? The only difference is geography, man. The only difference is where you wake up that morning. But as far as Southsider, a Southsider's a Southsider to me. Now, when it comes to this end of hostilities, when you're behind those walls, none of the North and South rules matter. Those rules that matter, and everybody knows who makes those rules, right? So now you'll have a lot of guys that will have a lot of interaction. And then, of course, you're going to look at the streets and you're going to have a lot of Southerners from Northern California that ain't going to have no love. They might have been behind them walls and had a function and program because that's what the rules dictated, but they're going to get out and get straight to the fucking wiggle, right? And be hating NK again and be hating Norteños. And the same thing with the North. But I've always noticed a lot of the Southerners from down south in Southern California never really hated Norteños, never really had too much animosity unless they did time and they were in guerra and they were in fucking battle. Then they might have some ill will. But again, it's on a professional and a respectful tip. And that's not to throw the Upstaters under the bus and say that they're less than. They just are in a different environment, man, where they have to see that enemy every day. It's just like Vatos from down south having their enemy they live across the street from. Those are the Vatos that they're headhunting. Those are the Vatos that they want to get at because they've done something personal to them. There's professionalism in gangs and there's personal. And personal sometimes overtakes that professionalism and they can professionally get personalized. And that's just how it is. Damn, I'm good with the wordplay, right? I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but fuck. Sometimes it just comes out like that. So in real life, man, to answer the question to the Vato that asked me, there is no difference, homie. If you're locked up, homes, and if you're a Southerner from Richmond or Sanjo or fucking Salas or Merced even, right? Your homies are going to embrace you, show you love, respect, and you're going to get treated like anyone else. When it comes to the Norteño movement, it just is what it is. There's always going to be some slight animosity. No matter if it doesn't matter if the end of hostilities spilled out to the streets and there was some fucking wheeler that went out that said, hey, everybody's got to get along now. Let the old ideals lay to the past and forever forward, and you guys must get along. There still will be Vatos on a personal tip that have lost family members, that have been involved in the war for so long that it's hard for them to let the fucking shit go. Okay, at the end of the day, if you are a true believer in unity and that the raza should push forward and let bygones be bygones, I understand that. That's where I'm at with it, man. And it's not because I'm no longer active, and I'm not sitting here bullshitting you guys. Oh, if I was active, I'd still be saying fuck the other side and all that. A guy asked me the other day, he was like, come on, gun. It's not like you haven't said the word. It's the derogatory term that Northerners use for Sureños, right? Or Southsiders. And I said, I have, bro. I've said a lot of fucking disrespectful words in my time. I was a gangbanger. I was out there in the streets really doing that shit. But I learned a long time ago, bro, I was disrespecting myself more than them. Because at the same time, if I had something to say, man, and I felt a certain way, then I should say it to the mascara, right to the face, right? And handle my business, get off where I was mad at, rather than disrespecting them over a computer or fucking behind their back or, and that goes both ways. So if the guys that sit there and disrespect back and forth to each other, it's like, come on, bro, let that shit go. Because we all know pretty much 99% of the people won't say that in each other's faces, man. And real G's just handle business. They ain't got no time for wordplay, man. There's no time for disrespect. It's handle your business, shoot a sopa when we all go to the hoyo, and forever a raza. And that's just what it is. Anyways, I hope that answered the question, man. There is no difference, bro. It's going to be like that, man. The South is going to be the South, and the Vatos that are from upstate that claim the South, man, they've made their choice. They've made their bed. They lie in it, man. And to be quite honest with you, man, they hold it down for theirs, man. Doesn't mean that Norteños don't hold it down. Everyone holds it down, bro. There's G's in everyone. There ain't a whole bunch of MC8s running around without the G. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming. Tomorrow, right here, exclusively on this channel, I'm going to be making some chorizo spaghetti and telling a war story. What you know about that? I know I've made it before, but people keep asking me to make it. So I'm going to show you exactly how I do it step by step to get down with some conversation. So make sure you tap in and turn up for that one, because it's going to be on like Dinky and Donkey Kong throwing barrels around this camp. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. You already know, man, I got to wear that Orlando jersey just to clown. And I'm going to do what I does, man, to wear the crown and maintain right here on the Collective Clips. Make sure you tap into Gunners Collective. We're going up over there, man. And I highly appreciate all the support. Bang, bang. In that motherfucking fashion.